Hello again, everyone. All right, I'm going back to the comment section today. I have a comment from Mark76C4Z. It says, "Hey, mate, thanks so much for doing these videos. They have been a massive help to me learning the JD-08. I appreciate that, and I'm happy to help. Thank you so much. One thing I'm struggling with, though, is triggering notes through Ableton. The notes trigger perfectly, but for some reason, the note volume is not being interpreted by the JD-08. I can turn the note velocity down to 0 in Ableton, but the JD still sounds the same. I think it must be the JD, as my other hardware is working fine with Ableton. Any ideas? Is there a setting somewhere I've missed? I've set the keyboard as MIDI and preferences. Thanks in advance." Okay, all right. Yes, okay. So I understand exactly what you're talking about. I'm going to show you how to fix that problem right now. So let's do some general housekeeping here. So here we are in Ableton, and of course we have the JD-08 down here, but let's start with Ableton first. All right, so let's see. Well, let's start at the beginning. So with Ableton, I want to make sure that I have the JD-08 as selected as my input device. Also, what I want to do is, let's see, I want to make sure. Okay, so those are good. The input configurations, input 1 and 2, output 1 and 2. Okay, good. All right, so let's see here. MIDI. All right, so one thing I do want to do is make sure that here under out, the JD-08, the track and sync check marks are good to go. All right, so over here, what I'll do on my MIDI track number 1, and just for the sake of consistency, I'll just rename this. To JD-08 MIDI, and then I'll make the audio track, well, JD-08 audio. All right. Okay, just from a hardware perspective, the JD-08 is connected to the CPU by way of a single USB-C cable. So no MIDI cables, no nothing. It's just one USB cable. So we're going to go audio over USB, MIDI over USB, everything through one cable. All right, so let's see here. So now under my MIDI track, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my output to JD-08. And channel 1 should be fine for right now. The MIDI is where the MIDI from should be fine with all ends. I'm not necessarily concerned about where the MIDI is coming from, but more or less its destination. Because the idea behind it is, I'm going to take one of my clips here. I'm going to double click here, and then I'm just going to key in a few notes, and then Ableton should transfer these notes to the JD-08, and then we should be able to hear them through the audio input. So let's do a B flat. Yeah, let's do a B flat major 7. Yeah, let's do that, and we'll just let this go for a half. We'll just let this go for a half note, 4/16 half note. There we are. Cool. All right. So now that we've got that going, see, I'm going to hold, I'm on a Mac right now, so I'm going to hold Command and press my arm button. So if you hold Command and press more than one and click more than one arm button, it arms both. And I want to make sure that the MIDI is armed, so that way, everything routes to the JD-08. All right, so cool. Let's see, we have our monitor set for auto, so we should be good there. All right, perfect. And if I play this back, there we are. Perfect. All right, we can stop that now. As a matter of fact, let's have a little bit of fun with this. Why not? Let's duplicate that, and let's transpose it up. Yeah, why not? just for the sake of variety. Okay, well, that's creepy, but all right, that's a little bit better. Okay, so we're just going to do some transpose chords. Okay, all right. Now, down to your question. All right, so if I come down here and I change the velocity, just drop it down, the notes still sound the same. They still have the same amplitude. So hold on, maybe I should have selected all of the notes at the same time. Give me 1 second here. There we go. All right, now let's try that again. Hold on, try that again. So select all. Okay, now we can try that. So yeah, so no matter what I do, the amplitude of these notes is going to be the same. And so that's our problem. When I lower the velocity, the amplitude should change in respect to the velocity. So what's happening? What's the problem? All right, so the issue is actually with the JD-08 itself. So let me show you how to fix that. So first things first, a little general housekeeping here. I'm going to go to Common. I'm going to scroll over to MIDI. Notice how I switch the channel to off. I do that. I'm doing that with purpose. See, the thing is like with the MIDI channel turned off, the main MIDI channel turned off, what it does is it prevents the JD-08 from inadvertently syncing with the syncing with Ableton. So just because I want to hear the notes doesn't mean I want to hear the sequence. Or just because I want Ableton to transfer information, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't want Ableton to switch the patch data either. You know what I mean? So basically, I'm turning this off to prevent any inconsistencies or unpredicted outcomes. So that's off. Channel A is set to channel 1, which is fine, and channel B is set to channel 2. I'm only worried about channel A at this point, so we should be fine there. Okay, so all my MIDI settings are appropriate. So what's the deal with the velocity? I'll tell you. All right, let's go back to Common and let's go to Envelope. You have P, Vel, PVT, F, A. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, so basically, the envelope filter. So essentially, you have 3 envelope filters. You have a pitch envelope, a filter envelope, and an amp envelope, and that's what this section is dedicated toward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to amp envelope here, amp envelope velocity. In other words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to where the amp envelope, where this envelope generator, how can I put this? I'm going to set it to where the velocity impacts the amplitude of the sound that's being generated. The reason that you have to do that with this particular synthesizer is that the synthesizer is pre-patched in such a way that the envelope generator has like this axiomatic impact on the sound, and unless it's configured, you won't be able to you won't be able to hear the outputs the way you would anticipate them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here. I'm just going to press down on this value dial, and I'm going to crank this all the way up to 50. All right. So A, Vel, or amp envelope is set all the way to 50. All right. So now the velocity again it's kind of difficult to explain, but just try to follow me here. So basically, the velocity that Ableton conveys to the JD-08 is going to impact the amplitude of the notes by way of the envelope generator. And yes, I am going to have to make some changes here to the envelope generator in order for this to work, but again, it'll all pay off in the end. So I can exit this menu now, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button over here to the far right for the envelope selection. I'm going to have it select TVA. All right, now let's see. I'm going to put all my sliders in their default position, and then I'll just nudge them back up kind of midway. You know. All right, now let's try this again. Going back to Ableton. All right. Let's switch the velocity and see what happens this time. You see what's happening now? Still getting a little bit of attack here, but we can fix that problem by easing the attack of the amp envelope. Oh, Lord. Oh, here we go. I think that may have something to do with one of the layers. Actually, no. Okay, wait. There he goes. Okay, I think that's what I wanted. Let's see here. Yeah, I think it's associated with one of the layers, the attack of one of the layers. Interesting. But, and again, that initial pop with the, yeah, that's interesting. That initial pop with the, must have something to do with, yeah, like I said, I think it has something to do with one of the patches layers, but this isn't a common attribute of all of your patches, particularly when you're dealing with your pads. Interesting. Okay, but either which way, notice how when I change the velocity, the amplitude now changes. And again, that works with any and every patch. Let's go to another. Let's see here. Like, let's go to our initial patch here. All right, now here. Interesting. Okay. And again, you do have to kind of manipulate the envelope generator to some extent in order to get it to respond the way you want it to. But once you have it, you have it. So let's see here. And for the most part, that's pretty much how it works. And again, the JD-08 is kind of bizarre. It's the term I would commonly use is finicky, but to be honest with you, it's just a perfunctory device. It's very, 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 very particular when it comes down to these envelope generators and what have you. So to be honest with you, I would just recommend experimenting with that. You can actually there are other things that you can do as well when it comes down to envelope generator manipulation, because remember, you have a pitch envelope and you have a filter envelope as well. And so long as Ableton is conveying some velocity information, you should be able to, the JD-08 should respond to it one way or another. All right, guys, so that pretty much does it for manipulating velocity by way of Ableton using the JD-08. So if you guys have any questions about this, or if you guys experience any issues with this, please let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to respond to that question or that comment. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.